All right. So yeah, let's get everyone back in. There we go. All right. This working with this new software has not been great. I'll tell you that. It's hard to go over to something new when you've been doing something for a long, long time. But I wasn't going to pay $400 to use the StreamYard. It's crazy. They wanted like $400 a year. Anyways, welcome to the War Room. We do appreciate you guys stopping in and saying hi. We got a special guest today, Mr. David Heath from Lock and Load. So thank you, and we'll get the chance to talk with him and say hi and everything. But as you can see, we got also a substitute down in the corner there. Mr. Tony from Tony's Board Life is back, just like the good old days. Unfortunately, we had some sad news this week as one of Nate's family members had passed away, and he couldn't make it today because he had to attend the funeral. So we were thinking about Nate, our good friend now, and it's always a bad situation, and unfortunately, just timing and stuff. So he couldn't make it this week. He was very excited to talk to David and learn about Lock and Load and everything. So, unfortunately, bad timing on everything. So thanks, Tony, for coming out, and thanks everyone for showing up.
Yep.
All right.
When I heard David was on, I was like, well, I don't know. Do I really? No, I'm glad to be here. I couldn't pass it up. We have a show tonight, so I won't be able to stay the whole time. I'll have to cut out a little early, but I wasn't going to miss it and help you guys out for sure. So, yeah,
it's always good to see you. How you been? It's been a little while since we got the chance to talk. And
well, yeah, I've been on with Ruff a few times. I think I've been on with you a few times, but it's never been kind of the old school again.
Yeah, back like the good old days. Yeah.
Can I just, sorry, at start something to go on. Lock and Load.
Here we go.
We have an over under of how long it will take before Ruff is passed out.
You better have a full glass today, boys.
Sorry, Tony.
You better have a full glass today.
Actually, doing pretty good. Not too bad. I am currently in the age of Vietnam right now. I am currently getting a course at school approved on the Vietnam era. Specifically. So it's Vietnam, almost all Vietnam. And matter of fact, this summer, I'm going to be doing a lot of gaming on Vietnam. So I'm looking forward to that and doing a lot of learning on that. That way I can be an expert when we get into the class, if I get it approved. So kind of looking forward to that. There's a lot of games out there on the topic. I didn't realize how many there were and actually how many I have. So looking forward to that and having fun with Ruff. I got abused in Panzer, but I'm kind of getting some retribution on Ruff back.
You are
with fighting formations yesterday. So, but other than that, doing pretty good, having a little fun. The only thing I've gotten recently is I picked up Kingdom Legacy. It's a card kingdom builder. I've seen it. It's like a legacy game, so you actually tear cards, although I'll never tear a card, but like you put stickers on it and stuff like that as you go through the game. So be interesting to see. I've seen some interesting things about that. So I always love a good kingdom builder.
Absolutely. And Mr. David Heath, how are you been? It's been a year or two or so since we had you on the show, and thank you so much for coming back. And
thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you and talk with you and catch up. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm sure there's going to be questions and this, that, and everything. But first of all, it's just good to see you and good to talk with you again.
Same here, guys.
Absolutely. Anything new, with you and
I'm still married, despite my best efforts.
There you go.
Oh, you got to put your worst efforts in for that one.
Well, I've been told my best efforts are my worst efforts. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a lot of interest in 24 months, to say the least. But
we'll get into that and the history and the background there. But again, we'll talk about it. But we're not gonna we're not going to harp on it. We want to talk about the positives.
We're here. We'll talk about the future.
I've done some unboxings here of a few games I've gotten recently, and I'm really impressed with everything I've seen so far. So,
Yeah.
hey, Ruff, how are you been, man? You've been hitting the liquor pretty hard.
Oh well, only since 9 p.m. So
Okay.
It's early days yet.
Yeah, because everyone's having a bet on how long before you pass out. So we're just wondering.
No, I'll pace myself. And only do 4 or 5.
Lock and load, everyone.
Lock and load. Lock and load. Load. Right. No, it's not been too bad. Again, my computer crashed uploading a bit of video or exporting a bit of video. So the poor old thing, that's why it's taken an absolute age. I got out the other week the Stuka Ace unboxing. I'm in the throes of doing my in-depth, because I'm doing more of an in-depth unboxing now rather than just showing. I'm going through the rules, trying to read the rules before I do the video, that sort of thing. So the Stuka one was well received. I've got the Fields of Fire overview, but that, because it goes into it a bit deep, it's not a 10-minute unboxing. It goes into all the ins and outs. So it's taken an age to edit. Did a bit more skies, but I've got to do it little by little by little because of the computer. If I get not a new computer, if I get a different computer, then hopefully things will get back to the way they were, doing 3 or 4 videos a week. Do you remember those days, Chester, when I used to do that? 3 or 4 videos a week in the early
years
days
ago, man.
Yeah. Rob, what are you talking about? Just live stream with me and Jester and whoever, and just upload that. That's all you got to do. Then you get
sure.
Your
Yeah. I'm sure. You keep
use our
mentioning
content
that.
there.
It must see a sore spot, because every time I think, another free video, lovely. So, but yeah, that's it. But yeah, having great fun doing what I'm doing. The cat is keeping off the table, so that's cool. So yeah, going to carry on with the Fields of Fire. Then we're going to get back on the Skies of Britain. Then I'm in a bit of a quandary what to do next. So we're learning fields of finding formations with Mike Berticelli's teaching me and Tony it. What's that? Oh, World at War is another one. Yes, Blood and Fury. Is that what you're pointing at over there? Yeah, mine's over on the table there, and the table's like that, but it's looking good.
Anytime I get a mail notification from Pueblo, I always make sure I have my back brace on when the box shows up.
Yeah, I say, can you get the door, love?
Yeah. I've got these 2 heavy boxes on my little stand here, and I'm afraid the stand is going to break. These are really jam-packed.
Yeah, I've had to move my games because I got told off this. Look, there they are. Look, there they are. So you can see them behind my lovely hirsute.
The shine, yes. Yeah. So the great addition in Point Blank. Did you listen to my original complaint about Point Blank and decide to fix it because of my big mouth?
Oh, you're talking about the map.
I'm talking about the map, exactly.
You weren't the only one, Justin.
You weren't the only one.
Tell you this. You weren't the only one on that.
Who was it?
I was probably the loudest one, though.
Yeah, but who was it that
I'll agree with.
Who was that actually did that and cut them up and stuck them on card? There was one YouTuber that did it.
Yeah, there was a guy on YouTube. I forget his name. I just talked to him the other day on.
It wasn't Hissy, was it?
No,
it wasn't Hissy.
No,
yeah, but somebody did that, didn't they? So
yeah, somebody did it. We had. The thing Sean and I disliked about the game the most was the map. The problem is not picking any game company in particular. If you have any other, let's say, card squad game, pick your company. You have the game, and then you have to buy, or you should buy 10 or $20 cards, packs of cards. So you add it up, it's a lot of money, and let's face it, how many people are going to buy the Hungarian pack? You have to pick on the Hungarians. It's just, the facts. So Sean and I took the approach that we wanted to include as much of everything in the base game. So you get basically a base game with tons of cards. I think there's over 700 cards in the game.
There's a lot of cards.
Yeah. So the problem was, it was the weight. And so we had the idea of the tiles.
Look! Please.
We had the idea of the tiles, and we just said, there's no way that's going to fit in the box, and there's no way the weight was going to handle it.
With the court, yeah.
Right.
With the court, with the
So-
700 cards, your box would be like 8 inches wide. Yeah.
Right. So we were just going to make a map pack box, and I said, that's kind of lame. And Sean agreed. And we came up with, well, what do you want to add to the game? And Sean said, well, I like to add air. It's a few units left out. And he had some ideas for some other rules. I said, well, why don't you just make it a small expansion, really limited. And that's pretty much what we did. And we also, there was like 5 units that they weren't really wrong. Like we left out a light machine gun on them, something minor. But we made the cards available for free to either download or you could get them, you could buy cards on War Game Vault.
Right.
I printed them off, and they're the only cards in the whole box that have got sleeves on them because it's stuck in front of the old card. It was a couple of tanks as well, wasn't it, David? That were,
Yeah.
So,
So we did that. So I don't remember how many cards are in it, but the new one is basically we included the updated 5 cards, and I think there's 5 of 5, so it's 20 cards. And then we gave you 5 or 6 or whatever it was, new cards, plus the terrain cards we added, plus we added air units. It's not tons and tons of stuff, so I want to make sure people don't think it's another 700 cards, because it's not.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with Point Blank, what we're talking about is these tiles that are included with the new Winter Victory. And you basically use these tiles to build your map now instead of having a actual paper map on your table. You're going to use these. They are 2-sided with snow and terrain on one side, and then you got your normal terrain on the other side. So super cool addition. Very excited. You can build, and this is just one stack. There's 2 stacks of these in the box. There's tons and tons of options there. So I'm so happy about that because I think it's
also double-sided. So one side is winter and one side is summer.
Yeah, one side. Yeah, you're right. So very nice, and they're hard, solid pieces. They're what are these?
Chipboard.
Chipboard. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know the technical term of it, chipboard, but they look great, and still have tons and tons of cards. There was a question in my unboxing, and I thought, since I got you, I would ask you: Can the aircraft be retrofitted into the original Point Blank, or are they only allowed in this because of the new rules?
I'm sure it could be. I'm sure you can use them in anything, especially design your own scenarios. I don't. Obviously, none of the old scenarios have any aircraft in them, but yeah, I can't see why you couldn't. If you made your own scenario, I can't see why you couldn't.
Okay. Yeah, somebody had asked, and I said, you know what? I will ask the
man.
Man today. And it comes still with a boatload of cards. You can see here all the replacement cards and all the new cards.
Now, did you do the big important test though, Kurt? Did you take the old cards and match the backs with the new cards?
I didn't need to. I can tell right away these cards are going to match.
You know, that is the official
I can
term of our card
absolutely tell
testing.
that these cards are matched. These cards match. I don't have to worry about it. Oh my God. Crazy.
Oh, somebody's
and then,
asked.
we got some more little cards here. What are these? These are
They're going to be
foxholes.
Yeah.
And some Panzerfaust cards here. And I really love the artwork on these cards. It's got this nice what's the word I'm looking for? Like
art.
Muted kind of
It's
watercoloring. It's like watercolor and everything. I can't really get a nice.
Yeah, the artist is Shane Logan, and I've always admired his work. He's done his tactical game is called Old School Tactical. Great game.
Love Old School Tactical. Yep.
David, they're asking about the pictures behind you. Robert, I think.
The plane pictures. These things, a guy named Ron Cole does them. I love. I'm not a big plane guy, believe it or not.
What? Get out.
I really not. But what he does that I find extremely entertaining is the middle one is not by him. I don't even remember I have that, but all the other planes and the ones that go around the office, he actually gets pieces of the plane. Okay, and then he writes, if he knows, where it was, what happened to it, if it was the pilot, if he survived. This actual one is from Pearl Harbor. So this is an actual Japanese K torpedo bomber from the Kaga that got shot down at Pearl Harbor, and he puts a piece of it on the artwork. I mean, how many pieces of metal? I think this is 28 of 30. So I got a pretty last one of the last two. So you can't really get a lot of stuff like that. And I think we gave away a Stuka one.
That's right.
So I just think it's so unique to, actually be able to touch a piece of the metal of the Japanese torpedo bomber. And I've got American planes and other German planes and Soviet planes. I just like the idea of that.
I love Historic Wings comes in right when Dave's like, I'm not a big plane guy.
And I've told him off.
Oh yeah, I hate planes. They're
off.
terrible.
Yeah.
Rob, do we have some very grainy plane picks on your what happened in history
I'll
today?
tell you what. Funny you should mention that. So get your funny plane cartoons ready.
I gotta get my funny plane
There isn't
cartoons.
much history per se that happened on this day, but there's a fair few bits. There's 2 or 3 aircraft. So there we go.
Yeah, what we thought we'd do is just talk about stuff and life in general, and what's been happening and what's going on, and then we'll open up like the last 15 minutes if anyone has any questions for David, maybe about 5:30 or so. Tony, do you have a question?
Hello?
Tony, you've been losing some weight, Tony. Look at those, man. Look at those abs.
No, I was gonna say that's some plain artwork right there.
Yeah.
There you go.
Do a little sucking up right now. Thomas is in there, so yes. So
Yeah. Sorry, Thomas. It's not that I don't like planes. It's just you get the impression of a big aviator, and there's 2 things I can't do. I'm horrible with wooden ships and Iron Men, and I'm horrible with planes. And if you take off, I'm crashing. That's pretty much what it goes down to.
What did you say the artist's name was again?
Ron Cole, Cole. He's got a big museum in somewhere in the mid, is it Kansas or Ohio? I can't remember exactly, but he's got a big museum. Guy's very nice. We're going to be using one of his box covers, paintings on one of our box covers for a game that we're going to be doing. And so yeah, it's a really good guy.
Awesome. So what did I do this week? Thanks for asking, guys. I appreciate it. Good job on that.
well, Jester, wait a second here. I can tell you what one thing you did this week, which I did with you. We played.
Yeah, why didn't you mention it when we asked you if there's been anything new?
Because that was Sunday.
You mentioned stuff with Ruff, but you don't talk about me.
The big news of the week was him giving back what I gave him for Panzer.
Yeah.
That was the big news. That he was whipping my backside in fighting formations.
No, that was actually so we had a lot of fun with that. I can't wait to get back to that. I meant to get with you, but we're definitely we got to get back to that because that was so much fun. I can't wait to eat some more of your guys's marine life or whatever you guys got going on there.
Yeah.
By the way, so what else did you do? I saw a few unboxings. I think
did a few unboxings. We played Dominant Species Marine. Have you ever played, David? No, never played.
Me neither.
It's a war game with species, and you're trying to do things and eat one another up. And it's by the late Chad Jensen. It's got an interesting design, and
yes, when you get to it, Cardboard Commander. He's giggling himself.
Yes,
Silly.
I know he's been waiting for this, so I'm gonna announce this right now. I barely lost my Combat Commander ladder.
I think the word
game.
is you were roundly beaten. I think is the term.
It is the worst and most broken scenario I have ever played in my entire lifetime. And I will stick with that until the day I die.
Yeah.
It
And that's
was
because he lost.
extremely
lost,
bad. It was
He lost. He
there is
was beaten roundly.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. As the attacker, we all know as the attacker, you normally come in with what? Equal forces or more.
Generally
A
more,
lot of
actually,
times you'll
yeah.
only attack if you have double the number of forces.
Mhm.
Right? In this scenario, I'm the attacker. I have 9 total units. The defender has 15. It's not even close how many units he's got.
So it was 48-0, was it? That's
It was-
barely losing.
It was
Yeah.
barely lost my Combat Commander game. Barely by the skin of his chinny chin chin. But
It's the end result that counts, buddy.
that's part of it. And it was Patrick is on my poo-poo list, and I would use a different word if I wouldn't get
Demonetized.
demonetized. Yes, Patrick, who runs the ladder, Patrick Pence. If you guys know him, send him some hate mail this week. He put me up against the #1 Combat Commander ladder guy for some reason because last week I emailed and complained, and his response was, "Okay, Jester, I'm going to put you against the #1 guy in Combat Commander ladder."
The Grand Master of Combat Commander. Yeah.
I think we need to give some Patrick some love here. So let's send
great.
some good thoughts out to
Maybe
Patrick
not
for that
just
one.
some games.
So Patrick I told him this week, if you get a pizza delivered, you better check both sides of that pizza because there's going to be something on it.
The funny thing is, he's down there in Florida. I don't know how far away, but he's down there in Florida with you.
Yes,
So
he is.
You
Yes, he
actually could do.
Yes, he is. He's very close, actually.
Camp is the diplomat, isn't he? Poor old, he's saying, "Oh, you had some bad pulls. Leave." No, he needs it. He needs a little bit of humble pie eating, I think.
Here's the thing, and we're going to talk about it probably next week, is Nerd Workshop and Cardboard Commander are both the allies as well this week. So we're going to check out their results and see and talk about how they did.
Well, someone's got to lose.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a little discussion. So it was a very rough week for me. I lost. I was losing to Tony, which is, I mean, come on.
Oh, they're saying that that guy you played wasn't one of the better folks, not even the top 5. I think he says, "Oh, he's a newbie." Oh, right, okay.
I live streamed it. Okay,
I know.
So you guys can go watch it, and you will see how the game screwed me so badly.
Sometimes that game does.
It used to be #1.
Tell me about it.
#1 board game of all time. It is dropped below Lock and Load Tactical. Everyone drink.
Cheers. Lock and Load.
Lock and Load Tactical was my #1 war game for the longest time. And I love Lock and Load Tactical. What's going on with that
Lock and Load,
David? Talk to me. Give me some good news, David. Come on.
All right. Well, my basic new rule is I don't tell anybody anything because it always gets me in trouble. But
I understand that.
But we are working on a significant change in Lock and Load Tactical. We are going to be hypothetically, so I don't have anybody calling me up to ask me when. We're going to make what I think we're going to end up calling front games. And again, using the same analogy, Lock and Load is never going to be able to make the Hungarian module. So what we're going to do is something like, Heroes of the Eastern Front, 1939 to 1942. Let's say this, winter, or whatever. Well, we're going to put they're going to be very big games, meaning that 10 to 15 counter sheets. We're getting rid of all crews. There's no more crews left in the system. And no more.
Really?
Yeah. The reason is they're useless. If you really play the game, if a crew leaves a tank, you can't get back in the tank. The leader disappears according to the current rules, and you can't ever go back into the tank. Okay. The leader counters for the tanks are kind of, again, very not relevant, because once the crew breaks, the counter is kind of gone.
Well,
So-
Panzer's the same. Once the crew go, you can't go back in the tank. So it's not
Right.
not an unusual thing. So
we're going to give each tank crew ratings. Okay, so one of the things we're doing is it's going to be a lot more counters. Okay, so when you get this, it'll be a lot more counters, and there's going to be historical maps as well as geomorphic maps, a lot more maps. The box, it will probably come in either one big 4-inch deep, 18-inch wide box, or it'll be two of the current, let's say, Waterloo boxes, which are 4-inch deep. Yeah. So and the reason is because I want to make complete games. I don't want to make games, like that. Yes, there'll be 2 gig boxes like that. And we also got rid of things like the little tildes and the counters, or there's now what we call a unit capability section on the counter. And it has a symbol and a number or a letter and a color, and it'll tell you what the ability is. You don't have to go crazily looking for it.
Gareth says good idea for no crews, and Cam Sawyer, and I trust Cam Sawyer.
yeah,
His crews are just extra counters. I was actually, I'm actually surprised of that news, to be honest. I didn't see that coming, but I think it's a good addition. I'm sorry, Ruff.
confusing. I'm confused. Is it a different thing to Lock and Load Tactical? Are you stopping that, or are you just revamping Lock and Load Tactical?
I'm going to say it's a revamp because the financial thing is this: you buy a game like Lock and Load, Heroes of Normandy, because that's the one we're kind of looking at right now. And if you make Heroes of Normandy, there's 4 expansions for it, and the rule basically is, and it's not really holding true, each expansion sells about 25 to 35% less than the base game does. The problem is when you make the expansions, they're always after the base game. And if you don't have any base games, then how are you going to sell the expansion? Actually, the last expansion you may ever see from Lock and Load, if I have my way, will be Winter Victory. Because I think it's just too unstable, the market, production, and everything else. So if I go and put, I'll give you some of the ideas. For Normandy, we're looking at adding directly into the game Canadians, French resistance, of U.S. Army, the British. There'll be specialty forces. We're even going to have some commandos. And they're all going to be in the game. The rulebook will be geared towards that operation. The maps. So if you took all the Lock and Load stuff that's already out there for Normandy, so what is it?
Day of Days.
Day of Days. I don't even know what that one is.
Isn't that that's the paratrooper one, right? Or maybe you called it something else. I'm
I
trying.
don't remember. But there's at least 4 expansions. So we're thinking of sticking all that stuff in there. The tanks will have a much clearer, like we got rid of S. I don't know if you guys ever noticed it says S on the tanks and all that. On the back, it stands for self-rallying. So you've got 3 spaces on the back of the counter, plus 2 spaces for the letters and 1 for the numbers. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use a color system and number that whenever you see, I'm making this up now, but let's just see black number on a gold circle instead of a blue circle. You know it's self-rallying. You don't have to
make sure for my benefit and other 10% people in the world that if you do use colors, use shapes as well for the different colors.
That's well, actually, believe it funny you should say that. If I had a way of showing you a picture, I could show you some of the stuff. But if you look at the counters, everything has a shape and a color. And the object is to try to make sure it's as friendly. And actually, we gave it to someone who is colorblind. But the problem is, as Keith and I learned during Storming the Gap, there's multiple, 40 or 60 different types.
The most common is red green,
right?
But within that group, it's a spectrum, as well. So yes,
so what might be good for one could not be good for somebody else. So,
but shapes is good.
Yeah, we're trying to do shapes and make sure it's available. And then the other thing we're doing is we're switching the numbers. And before anyone starts sending us hate mail, we're not switching the numbers. Is where all the I might begin some of this backwards. I think all the numbers should be high in order that's positive, with the exception of the tanks. I think the tanks it's low. Okay, now maybe it's the other way around, guys. So don't hold me to it. But whatever that numbering system is, it will be consistent. So if everything else in the game is high, tank numbers are going to be switched so they're high also.
Okay.
We're also putting in, doesn't happen so much in the Western Front, but it did happen on the Eastern Front, a lot of captured units. So you'll see German tanks in Russian colors. Okay, not many, but just a few for variety of saying, hey, the Russians capture these or the Germans capture those. Yeah. And there'll be a lot more tanks in the sense of, because we're not going to make even numbers, but we may say in this scenario, hey, you got 10 T-34s. Randomly pick your tanks. So you may get some green crews, you might get some line troops, you might get some elite, or you may be told exactly what to pick.
That's cool. So let's say, for instance, the old lock and load tactical now is a separate, in my eyes, is a separate thing. And then Devin's Heroes of the Bitter Harvest was like version 2.0, which is different to that. You can play them, but that was the new lock and load tactical coming on, in the future. But now you're going to change it to these front boxes.
Well, let me put it this way: lock and load. Heroes of the Bitter Harvest is a great example of the direction we're going. When I say complete, it will have solo cards. So, but they'll be customized to that system or that theater, or that weather, whatever you're dealing with. It's going to have the data cards. One of the things we're going to do is make 2 sets of data cards. We're calling them Intel cards just for a name. But the idea of the Intel cards is, if you saw the counter, you can say, hey, well, I don't know what all these colors mean. And, you don't want to, tick off the guys who are playing the game because your guys are already familiar with it. So these cards will be 1 tank, 1 weapons team, just so you can see what the numbers are. One of the things we put in there is, I think there's a ability called extended range. Well, you had to look in the rules to remember what does extended range mean exactly. Mm-hmm. So now the extended range is literally on the counter. The object is to make you not have to look in the rule book as much. If you got old eyes, you got the data cards. Yeah. We also put in we're always going to have build your own scenarios.
Thank God.
So that information will all be there. We're also going to add, we're not sure we're going to do this, but we're going to add a rarity factor. And we're not 100% sure this is all speculative, guys. So anything changes, you can, not hate me. But when I did the Steel Panthers World at War series, the computer game, one of the things that we always found was, what do you guys do as the Germans? I want 25 T-34s, Tiger tanks. I think on the Western Front on D-Day, I think there was 6 on the whole front.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so the rarity would be you have to decide as a commander to gamble. And that gamble would be every time you get one, you got to roll. And if you roll a certain range within the rarity, you don't get it, but you lose the points. So this way, you take. Well, I know there's a good chance I might get one, but there's also a chance I may not.
Yeah. Right.
We have what is in Heroes of the Bitter Harvest called RPG. I didn't like that name, but I ran out of time. But we're going to call it career mode going forward.
I like
You
that.
mean the
I
role
like that
playing,
title.
the role
Yeah.
playing part?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much it. But we're going to put as much stuff in the game that if you never got another Heroes of Normandy game, you got the French Resistance.
no.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can still play if you pick up the old stuff, you can still play it as it's now, it sounds like to me, it's a separate game. So you play the older stuff, and then the new stuff coming out is its own thing now.
Well, there's going to be, give an example. With Heroes of the Bitter Harvest, we added a couple of event cards that are blank. So when you make your own scenarios, you can still use the system.
Mm.
The other thing is, I don't think it cancels it out. It's just like anything else. It's just the growth of the system.
It's evolving. Yeah.
So when you took the 6.0 rules, I'll give you another big thing we're doing. How many times have you played with artillery? It's always the 6 hexes, right? It's the center plus the 6 hexes around. Okay. I don't know really of any film I've watched of artillery fire where it's that precise.
No, all right.
We introduced different types of artillery, but what we're doing now is we're coming up with these. If you look at Hero First Victories, we came up with these yellow templates of soda artillery scattering.
Okay.
And that's granted based on that time period. But we're coming up with something between, let's just say at least 4, maybe as much as 12 artillery patterns. Now, they're not patterns as in you can call in pattern Z, is you call in an artillery, and then you're going to have a procedure.
And it's going to show up in a certain area. And it's gonna,
yeah, that sounds great.
But you don't know if it's going to be, hey, is it going to be 2 X's to the left? Not in the pattern, but the shape of it will change as well. You could actually, unfortunately, if you're too close, call it on top of yourself. Like
right.
Friendly fire, a little friendly fire.
Right.
Blue on blue always wakes people up. A bit of blue on blue.
And so since you don't know exactly where pattern is going to land, you don't know exactly, if it's going to make. I mean, if you wanted to get the 3 topmost hexes of your center, which would be guaranteed as it currently is now, you may get 1 and 2 to the right, or you might get some other pattern in there.
That's cool. Yeah,
So
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That adds that little bit of randomness and hey, maybe they're not so accurate. The one thing I'm curious is there a way to mitigate some of that? Like if it's a second shot or something along those lines.
I'm going to say we haven't. I don't want to say we haven't.
I don't know if you may not have dug deep enough. Yeah.
I mean, we're a lot further along than most people think.
Yeah, I think what we're assuming, everyone, is that David and Lock and Load have actually designed it and are publishing it next week. This is far from it. Yeah.
Week after
ideas. Yeah, these are ideas. Great, sounds great.
So, but the option is the basic thing is this: it'll make the game a little bit more consistent in the fact that you'll have all the numbers be high, all the good numbers be high, and the bad numbers be low, or like I said, vice versa.
Right. That is definitely synchronizing so that people know good, high, bad, low, and not have to go, well, wait a minute. Is that for the tank or is that for the infantry that I want low? Yeah. It's always driven me crazy.
If you take I think it's an MP42 weapons team as an example. Mm-hmm. If you're a weapons team, you can limber and unlimber, okay? But if you are a squad, which in theory should have more men, right? You cannot do that.
Right.
Okay. That makes no sense to us. So we made it that you can spend half your movement point, round it down, and do it during the turn. But right now you couldn't. We also kind of modified, not sequence of play, but some of the titles of the sequence of play, because like rally phase makes no sense because you're doing much more than rallying. You're changing weapons positioning. You're changing your if it's limbered or unlimbered, or the other thing we're doing too is we're putting what weapons are tripods, because the rules right now just say tripod. people looking on the picture, it's not really accurate.
Right.
So stuff like that. But we're not we're not complicating the game. If anything, I think we're rolling back some of the complications, but we're adding some uncertainty. Like any of the events are in the game, right, going forward, okay, will not be guaranteed. Because if you play a scenario in Normandy now, just using that as my pick on, and you know, hey, I got to this area, it's a line of sight or whatever type of I get a free machine gun, you know, or free reinforcement. And I don't like that because it's kind of like watching a Star Trek episode. I still like watching them, but I kind of know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it takes away some of the adventure of the show.
Right.
So now what's going to happen is we're going to have a range of stuff. And the range of stuff might be a 1d6. It might be 2d6. And it'll be things like nothing happens. Or sometimes maybe it'll be a booby trap. Okay, where it never came up before. So that way it keeps the scenario fresh.
Yeah.
It keeps the whole thing fresh. We're not doing things like adding crazy rules to it, anything like that. But we are going to make these front games. Because then if you want to go back and make an add-on, in most cases, the counters should be there. In which case, you're just making maps and scenarios. And that's much more reasonable, feasible, and can be done in the country. So,
well, and also when you look at it, and I'm just going to throw this out there, and no, but that's pretty much the way ASL is now. Once you have the core modules and you buy like the expansions, as long as you have the maps, you pretty much will have the counters if you have the core modules. So in this case, you're selling all the core modules for the West Front, and then when you actually sell the when you do an add-on, or you know, hell, you can just do, hey, here's some scenarios. We've got some designer scenarios to do. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's actually a proven business plan. To me, it's much more better than having because there's like plenty of games I'd like to get, but the problem is I need to get the base module, and there's no base module to buy anymore. And
the other thing is too, you know, not to sound boastful or anything, I want the games to be the Lamborghini of game production. I want the thickest boxes. I want you to be buying a Ferrari of a game, not buying the Toyota and hoping everything goes well.
Yeah.
You know, like one of the things we want to do is, you know, those aluminum dice we sold in World at War Stone in the Gap? They're perfectly balanced dice. They can actually balance in the corner of the table. And if you think about it, how important is dice in the game?
The dice don't mean anything at all. No.
Yeah.
At least to me, they don't. They're just bad.
When Tony rolls them, he's got his own set of what are those dice?
They're gravity dice. Yeah,
gravity dice. Yes.
Yeah.
So if you have gravity,
I haven't used those for a while, actually.
But you know, if you buy cheap dice from China and they're unbalanced, think about how that could be throwing your game.
Mm-hmm.
And
if you've ever priced actually balanced dice that they use in like backgammon, because that's over in Europe. I know that's a huge game that's wagered. Like people play that for serious money.
I know. I love the game. I play it. Yeah, played it before, I love the game, but yeah, not as a gambling, because it is a gambling game, you know.
Yeah.
But yes, the dice. If the dice are not balanced, you're going to be wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, the games. You know, if we built in the games with ammo crates or counter trays, stuff like that, everything will be in the box or boxes. And yes, it'll make the game slightly more expensive, but you won't need anything. You know, I don't want to hear anymore, well, I got this version, but I didn't get this expansion, and then I can't find this. I mean, we're having this problem now. We've already sold out of all the expansions for First Victories. They're gone. And so now you can't get that. So now my whole thing is, if it doesn't fit in the box, I'm not doing it.
Makes sense. It makes sense. It's off the shelf. That's it. Go away and enjoy. That's it. That's all you're getting. Everything is in the box. That sounds fantastic. Rather than then a lot of companies bring out expansion this and then another expansion and a new this, new that. I'd rather just, like as you say, get the box off the shelf, get sent it, and that's it. Everything I need. Everything. And I know there's nothing else coming out.
Right. One and done. And I see the guys commenting about, yes, turtles are liable. I'm not saying that the bad cars or doing it other ways are bad. I'm just saying is I want to go to the extreme of, if you guys, anyone who's bought the new stuff, your game should have come in a white box.
Yep.
That came inside a gray box that's double walled.
And can I just say, David, don't throw them white boxes away, because you know, when you buy your white boxes from GMT, you use that as a white. I've used them to put mounted maps in and everything. So thank you, David. They're great.
They're very nice, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Someone is saying, why can't you reprint them? I assume he means the games.
The old games, yeah.
Reprint them. It's that they're all kind of a way, they're all over the place. And it's not so much we just want to reprint the old stuff. I mean, let's face it, Lock and Load, Heroes of Normandy, which was Band of Brothers we did initially, because when I owned Lock and Load, we did the first Normandy version of that game for Matrix games. And then when I did Lock and Load, then Mark took the company, did Lock and Load, redid the maps, got rid of the white halos. He sold, I think it's like 10,000 copies of Heroes of Normandy sold already. And the funny thing, it's the most requested game we get asked about. Now, could it be that it's the most popular? Could it be the subject matter? Or could it be that it's been longest out of print? I just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
D, all of the above. That's all. That's probably
Yeah,
a little bit of
all
both.
of the above.
And then also with reprints, you got, you know, I know you sold so much. You're saying you sold so much, but yeah, there's a few of us that want it. But you know, then again, okay, then you got to reprint all the expansions that you don't have. So I kind of understand that. I'm a little bummed because there's 3 modules I am missing out of the entire Lock and Load factory or tactical system. I'm missing Nam, I'm missing Normandy, and I'm missing Motherland.
Well, I'll give you a little example of what we're looking at doing. Normandy should have every single expansion that we've done will be included, plus new material.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
The other thing is to
David said Lock and Load 4 times, and nobody said
no,
drink.
I'm sorry. No, the reason I've muted because my son's out tonight, and being a musician, it's Lock and Load going on. He's out at a party. He's phoned up and said, "Look, I think I've had a bit too much. I need to come home." So he's trying to get home now from wherever this is. So we're just, you know what kids, eh, David? Kids.
Yes, my son just had me pick him up for the first time actually about 2-3 nights ago.
Yeah.
But you know what? Rather than call than decide,
Yeah,
Right.
I want to come home. Yes, yeah, that's great. So sorry about that. So Lock and Load.
Jeez.
But the goal is all the Normandy expansions.
Yep.
That means the Noville one, the whatever ones we can't remember the names of.
I actually got on your website to find it. They're not even listed anymore because you can't
I
buy
don't
them.
even list them anymore. Yeah.
Yep. No. So basically, that sounds like you would probably have what that would also include the French one, the Defiance.
You mean I've got all those lovely things. I've actually got where is it now? The one that everybody wants.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got the French one.
That one will be. It's like I said. If we do Heroes, if we do something like Heroes and Defiance, it won't be part of the Normandy one because that's way too many counters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. The other problem is, too, guys, all these games throughout until I think Need really always has a different artist, so you can never get the style to match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we know how Jester is about artwork. It's got to all match.
And I don't need anyone yelling at me for that.
But I mean, the older games you can still play them, and you can even use the old rules. You know, the really old rules. You can really use the 4 point whatever it was rules for them. You can use the 5.0, 5.1 rules. So they're not going to sit on your shelf and not play.
What we're doing is, I'll give you an example. We talked about, let's see, we call it Heroes of the Far East. We have already broken those all down. Here's the Far East. We'll have the British in there, Chinese nationalists, Chinese communists. It will have Far East Russians, we're calling them, not that they're different than necessarily the other Russians, or Soviets.
Thank
but
you.
we want to define them. We want to have Japanese Marines be different than Japanese,
Army.
regulars.
Yeah.
Plus, the Americans in the Philippines will be different than, let's say, the Americans that landed at Guadalcanal. So you can see, just counting. How about the British? How about the Indian forces that were in the Far East?
Yeah.
We want all of that in the same box. And to take it a step further, someone's asking about the Falklands. We looked at doing what we call the early Cold War, which would be Korea, which doesn't exist at all, Vietnam, okay, and putting those in there. We do the later part of the war. It's something that would probably be, Heroes Against the Red Star plus some. We talked about the Middle East, so you would have something like. Actually, let me rephrase that. The Middle East early would probably be in the early Cold War game. So you're going to see a lot more like Israeli forces, Syrian forces, Egyptian forces, some hypothetical, some not.
Well, that's some exciting news, and we look forward,
to
seeing
that.
this progress, and we expect this all done by next year. So
Yeah.
you better get busy.
I'm thinking Christmas.
Yeah, we want them all those out.
All right, he said it. Now he's going to be in trouble. Great.
Oh,
You know what? I'm
there
going to have a nice burn party with all my lock and load tacticals. No, I'm just kidding.
You're looking forward to it. I do have a question. It was asked in one of my live streams that I was doing when I was doing the digital for lock and load, and they were asking what was going on with that, and I didn't know anything, so I didn't know what to tell them.
I've got a question as well. When you've
Lock and Load Digital, Nations at War Digital. Basically, I stopped everything till the games were all done. We're still doing the games, so it's not done, and then we're going to go back and see, can we complete and finish those games. Some of the, not in the case of Lock and Load Tactical, but in the case of Nations at War, the developers disappeared. And this is the problem with computer games. Developer disappears, or he changes, or he decides to become a basket weaving company, and you lose these guys to do that. So I basically put it on hold until all these games, and I'm going to go back, and if there's a way we can continue it, we will. If there's a way we can't, we'll just stop the series.
Okay.
So
because it still shows as beta, but it's been in beta for 3 years. So
the only reason it's an early access was because what we were trying to do is get all the rules put in from all the modules.
Right.
Okay. And of course, there's bugs too. I mean, still, this game's 20 years ago. That's still a bug patch here and there that'll come out. So it's definitely playable. We have played it. I played it when
I'm playing it tonight.
So it's definitely a playable game. It's not like it's a bad game or anything else. It's just that I don't know if we're going to continue moving forward, and that's all on me. It's not on the programmer's fault in the case of Lock and Load Tactical. On the Nations at War, they abandoned us. The Tank and Tank, same thing. That it was basically done anyway. But again, I think I'm going to approach the computer games the same way the board games, one and done. And the reason I say that is because then once it's done, it's done. I tried to do it differently in the sense that, hey, you got the base game for a couple of bucks, which some people thought I was ripping them off because it's a demo. It came with 4 scenarios. See if you like it. It's $5 or less. That's how I looked at it. And then you could buy the modules you wanted, because when I unlocked on the tactical and we did Operational Art of War, the bitch went the other way. Oh man, I got all these scenarios I don't care about. I don't care about this subject or that. So I have to tell you guys, as gamers, you guys are a fickle bunch.
That's for sure.
Yeah, you try to predict what we want, and it's the opposite.
Yeah,
it's just that it's 50-50. Sometimes you go left, sometimes you go right.
You can't be right all the time because we change our minds. But on that note, what about the cardboard version of Nations at War? Me and Tony, we're Nations at War nuts. I mean, Second Chance Game has still got on pre-order. Is it the next one in the series that's supposed to come out? Is it Tigers in the Snow or something? It was called?
Yeah, I don't. The problem with that, the World War II version, unlike the modern version, is the following. Okay. Sean and I had toyed with making an area movement, let's just say Nations at War, okay? And the reason is, if you take White Star Rising, none of the units are identified. And what I mean is, you don't know what armor division is and anything else. And not to go into any mudslinging or anything else, there's a reason that was done. It wasn't done by us. So if I did the Battle of the Bulge, let's just pick on that for a second. Man, a new game, Battle of the Bulge, what changes? All the units that are in White Star Rising are pretty much going to be the same units that are in Battle of the Bulge. So what I'm really telling you is buy the same counters. Stop there. I'll give you some new hypothetical maps, geomorphic maps, and some scenarios. And it really didn't appeal to us as a company or as Sean as a designer to do that. So I don't know if we're going to continue the series. I don't know if we're going to turn around and make it an area map. And the reason we like the area map because it was at least different. So you could do something like, or take Arnhem. Imagine taking Arnhem, taking the combat system from Nations at War, and giving you an area map. So I don't know what we're going to do with that. And again, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've canceled every single project we had going originally. I canceled once we had the delay with this and everything else, because the biggest problem is I cannot tell you how many games people start and never finish. And it's just not worth the time and effort. You tell people about it, you make maps. I mean, I must have spent tens of thousands of dollars on artwork that will never see the light of day.
Crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. And anyway, just saying, a bit of a fanboy for Nations at War. So I just wanted to know. I understand, David, what's been going on. It's gently now.
I'm a huge fan of Nations at War.
Yeah, it's a great game.
But I understand I'm the underdog, and the new one on the block there is kind of the one that's taken over.
Yeah.
Blood and Fury is kind of the new kid on the block, and everyone loves that.
Look at it this way. If you look at World at War compared to Nations at War, very similar systems. But here's the difference. World at War 85 is hypothetical. Okay? So you have now the next game in the link, and this you can count on because this actually has been decided, will not be the French, which was I forget what the game was going to be called, but because that guy who was doing it, and him and I are great friends and all that, but his work and everything else does not allow him to get it done fast enough. So he pushed it to the fourth game. And the third game is going to be American Breached. And
I thought it might be.
Jeff Schulte is going to lead that. He's been working on it, but it was supposed to be the fourth game. But think of all the differences in terrain, units. Canadians are now in the game directly from North America. You've got militia, you've got Mexicans, you've got whoever else Jeff puts in the game. Now, if I do that, if I go from Nations at War, and what do? Go to Africa? Well, we kind of already did that. Go to Eastern Front? Kind of did that. Now, granted, you can do a different time period. Where else are you going to go? The Pacific? There's not much armor combat in the Pacific.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to go ahead and give you a break for a second, David. We've got a few things that we got to do for our wonderful chat here. We're having a great time. Thank you all for showing up tonight.
Great.
And thanks, David, for being our special guest. And Tony, thank you for coming out tonight. I knew you got to go in a little bit. So do you have a Nate's notes today for Nate or not?
No, nothing for me today.
Nothing from you today. All right.
I did put it on him yesterday, to be fair. So,
That's all right. Yeah, I know. It was late. We didn't know until the other day. So in case you guys are just joining us and you're kind of wondering what had happened and what's going on, we got a message from Nate a couple of days ago that one of his family members had passed away and he wouldn't be able to make it here on Saturday. And he apologized. He was really looking forward to meeting David and talking with David. And unfortunately, these situations happen. So at the last minute, we got Tony to be a replacement, but he's only got a little bit of time. So we're kind of throwing things at the wind today like we normally do, and just trying to get
it's all flying by the seat of our pants. We love it.
But I'm sure we've got some British history for the day.
European and British history. We've got 2,000 years of it. So yeah. Anyway, but actually, there's not a lot of it. But I'll get on with it. And apologies if I slur a bit. So 5th of March, we've got 12.
It's April, by the way.
5th of. Oh, don't tell me I've put the wrong date in. No, I haven't. I remember doing it. 5th of April. Sorry. Let me just change that because I will. And I hadn't even had a drink then. 5th of April, 1242. During the battle on the ice of Lake Peipus, Russian forces, led by Alexander Nevsky, rebuff an invasion attempt by the Teutonic Knights. Now, I'm not sure. I haven't got that series, Nevsky. This is what this is all about. I'm not sure if that battle is in it, but because I haven't got
There's
that.
not really battles in Nevsky. No.
Okay, then.
I mean, there is. Don't get me wrong. There's not like historical battles. It's more of a here's a situation.
So you're playing a historical time that could turn out differently.
Yes, very much.
Right, gotcha. Right. Then we whiz forward to 1862, the American Civil War. The Battle of Yorktown begins. And 1938, again, whizzing forward. Not a lot going on, really. Spanish Civil War, not that it was, but on this day, Spanish Civil War, 2 days after the Nationalist Army occupied the Catalan city of Lleida, I think it's pronounced, dictator Francisco Franco decrees the abolition of the Generalitat, the autonomous government of Catalonia, the self-government granted by the Republic, and the official status of the Catalan language. This is still going on. The Catalans are, they're not happy with. They're not the best of pals with the rest of Spain, if you like. They shove along. 1942, World War II. That Austrian painter issues Führer Directive Number 41, summarizing Case Blue, including the German 6th Army planned assault on Stalingrad. And again in 1942, the Imperial Japanese Navy launched a carrier-based air attack on Colombo, Ceylon, during the Indian Ocean raid. The port was damaged, civilians were injured, and the Royal Navy cruisers HMS Cornwall and HMS Dorchester were sunk southwest of the island. And in 1943, this is a bit unfortunately, United States Army Air Force bombers accidentally caused more than 900 civilian deaths, including 209 children, terrible, and 1,300 wounded among the civilian population of the Belgian town of Mortsel. Their target was actually the Erler factory, which was a kilometre away from the residential area hit. And then 1944, first flight of the Miles Monitor. Let me get that up then. You've got your pictures ready? Yeah. Hold on.
We got everyone. Wait a minute. Let's do it. We got to get your magnifying glass. Everyone, get your magnifying glasses out. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Ready?
The suspense is killing me.
Come on, push the button.
It's not sharing.
It's there. It's on the tie. I've done. It's there on the left-hand side.
Okay.
It's there.
I see it now. Okay.
Good grief! There we go. What an ugly plane!
Wow, look at that thing.
What an ugly thing. Even though it's a British plane, what an ugly thing. This is the Miles Monitor, and as you could probably tell, this is the M33 Monitor, and it was a twin-engine British target tug aircraft, designed and built by the Miles Aircraft Company towards the end of the Second World War, intended for use by the Royal Air Force and the Fleet Air Arm. The aircraft did not enter service with either. What an ugly thing. But there we are.
That is a thing, isn't it?
That is a thing. That is an ugly thing. And I have to say it myself. So 1945, Cold War, Yugoslav leader Josip Tito signs an agreement with the Soviet Union to allow temporary entry of Soviet troops into Yugoslav territory. And then
well, the funny thing is Stalin hated Tito.
Oh, of course, they weren't the best of friends. That's why I said,
that's because Tito actually was successful in his communism while Stalin wasn't. Because Tito's like, no, we're going to do it my way, and actually it was quite successful. Now, whether I agree with that or not, but the country, comparatively speaking, the two were totally different on that.
Yeah,
so.
the Tito Soviet or the Tito communist regime was a much better.
Scare quotes. I mean, air quotes. Yeah.
But he was
that's an interesting topic by itself. Like, I love that stuff.
Was well loved by the people. He was. So
was it? Socialism with a face, I think, is what he called it.
It was probably behind the scenes just as bad as any communist bloody thing. But anyway, as you say, interesting subject. 1946, Soviet troops end their year-long occupation of the Danish island of Bornholm. And another tragic accident, 1946, a Fleet Air Arm Vickers Wellington crashes into a residential area in Rabat, Malta, during a training exercise, killing all 4 crew members and, unfortunately, as well, 16 civilians on the ground. So after the war. And then 1951, for you guys, you probably, if you're old enough, remember this, Cold War. Ethel and Julius Rosenberg are sentenced to death. To death today for spying for the Soviet Union. He was
a definite. She was questionable.
Well, that's what they still say, don't they? But the amount of stuff that was
the funny thing. So the funny thing is it was Ethel's brother that actually ratted him out.
Yeah, did a deal.
He actually did the worst part. He actually gave the information to the Soviet.
But he did a deal.
Been the one hung as well.
Yeah, but no, he wasn't. He didn't do a deal and was just put away.
Yeah.
He didn't
he ratted first, so he got the better deal. Yep. If you're gonna rat, make sure you're the rat. You're the first rat.
Yes, so you can make a deal then. Right. 1951 again, during an engagement between elements of the 1st Marine Division and an enemy force in Korea, this is a great story. Hospital Corpsman 3rd Class Richard D. DeWert bravely dashes 4 times through a fire-swept area to treat 4 wounded leathernecks, dragging 2 of them to safety despite suffering 2 wounds himself. Unfortunately, he's mortally wounded while treating the 4th wounded Marine and receives the Medal of Honor posthumously for his actions. So leatherneck is the slang term for a US Marine because of the leather. I think they used to wear a leather collar so they couldn't put their head down. They kept their head up, this leather neck thing. Interestingly enough, the older sort of commander of Marines, the British Marine commandos are called bootnecks. It's their slang term because they're not sure where it comes from, but they think it might be something to do with cutting a strip of leather from their boots, putting it around their neck so they couldn't be crept up and their throat cut when they were doing their sort of stuff. So I'm not sure, but it's a great story.
And that's why they're called leathernecks. That's why the American Marines are
leathernecks. They were on this because they couldn't. They used to do it in the Napoleonic. The British regiments used to have it round some regiments where they put it round their neck so they couldn't put their neck down and they'd faint because they couldn't breathe. But I think the Marines did it as well because of when they're on display. But yeah, interesting. 1968, to protest the lack of an aerial display to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Royal Air Force 4 days earlier, and to demonstrate against the government of Prime Minister Harold Wilson, Flight Lieutenant Alan Pollock of the RAF's No. 1 F Squadron makes an unauthorized display flight in a Hawker Hunter, during which he beats up, which is an RAF term for buzzing, several RAF airfields and flies low over London, and he circles the Houses of Parliament, dips his wings to the Royal Air Force Memorial and flies under the top span of Tower Bridge, becoming the first person to fly under the bridge upper span in a jet aircraft. He's arrested upon his return to base.
I was about to say that doesn't sound legal, but
no, it's a famous, as Thomas says historically, it's a famous flight. Yeah, he had the right ump, and because it was the 50th anniversary, and Harold Wilson being a sort of Labour or Democrat type, that's your equivalent, I think, Prime Minister, didn't do anything about it. But anyway, he was arrested upon his return to base. He was subsequently invalided out of the RAF on medical grounds. So they say.
Medical grounds.
Yeah. Again, this they reckon was to avoid a court-martial and the embarrassment to the government of Pollock, publicising the reason for his stunt and perhaps receiving the support of the public. He passed away peacefully at home on 8th of March 2024. And if you want to have a look at what a hunter looks like, they're a nice, actually, it's not a bad looking plane, to be quite honest with you. Let's get that up quick so we can see. There we go.
All right. Whoa.
Not a bad decent size aircraft to fly under that, by the way.
Yes, it was. It's as Thomas says, it's a famous thing, that he did that.
Wow.
So that was that. And finishing off, a couple more left. 1982, a British task force set sail from Southampton to recapture the Falkland Islands after the invasion by Argentina. And
rotters.
I know, terrible imperialists, aren't we? And then 1996, last one, first flight of the Lockheed Martin C-130J Super Hercules. One of my favorite aircraft.
We got another picture?
I know, because
we got a three for today. Wow, David, you bring out the best in rough.
We'll get this up just quickly. Hold on. But it is one of my favorite aircraft. Remember seeing the 130 as a kid for the first time. Really, wow! When you see it, it's huge.
Look at that. Gosh, look at that.
Yeah, they fly in and out every once in a while at where I teach, and those are they're so huge. And then sometimes
they're gorgeous.
If you're underneath them when they take off, they seem to like go forever before they actually clear you. It's crazy.
It's great. They were first flight today. 1996. They were introduced in 1999, and they are still in service. There we go.
Well, I'd hope so.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
We still got airplanes from the 70s.
There's no Nate's notes today, but I do have my little segment here.
Go on then.
So I go on. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I always show off one or two games. And since obviously we have Mr. David Heath here from, where is he from again?
Lock and load.
There you go.
The whole thing already, guys.
He's from Lock and Load. So, Ruffy did all here.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's got a whole bottle down. That's his second one, by the way.
No, it's not.
So I'm going to talk about a game, obviously, by Lock and Load. And I'm going to ask you a question, David. You can't answer this. I want to find out how well Tony and Ruff know. I'm going to be talking about a game from Lock and Load that is a air game. Do you know what the name of this title is before I give it away?
I know it's the bomber one.
Oh, it's the one. Yes, it's the bomber one. Yes,
bomber one.
They redid It originally started out as a print and play game, I think, and then the guy
Wing on a Prayer.
Yeah, Wing and a Prayer. Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be talking about a Wing and a Prayer bombing the Reich.
All right, I could read it when you move the box over.
Yeah. I thought I would get it out there when you weren't working.
Isn't that right, David? It was a print and play game by the designer, and then
I think tell him his name. He's on the back of the box. He does quite a few games. Really good game. The print and player version was like light. Like a tank on tank.
So those are,
And he really worked with us to, let's say, make it more historical. Then there's a gentleman in, I believe it's Croatia. I can't remember his name, but his name's on the updated rule book. But he really did an exceptional job, much better than we did, improving the ranges, improving the timetables and stuff. And if anyone has that game, You go to our online library. It's library.lnlpublishing.com. Go to, there's tons of rows of different games. Go to the end, and you'll see a free download for the rulebook, play rate cards.
You can see, it's hard to see, but I've actually, this is an overlay that I
you
printed
stuck that
out
on. Yeah.
on sticky paper and overwrit what was originally there with the new information. You can kind of see it there. If I maybe, I don't know. But
We
anyway,
believe you.
I don't know if you can. There's a couple of those in there, I think. Anyways,
Yeah, good.
let's look at the website here and see what this game is all about. All right, so this is Wing and a Prayer, Bombing the Reich. Came out in 2016. I was one of the original people to get this game. Command a squadron of USAAF bombers in strategic bombing campaign of the Reich. It's by Lock and Load. Artist is Blackwell, and the designer is Eric von Rossing. 1 to 2 players, 60 to 120 minutes. Ages 12 and up, weight 2.2. And we'll just take a look at some of the. I got to click on the one over here, not the one that's there. Ooh, it's kind of a cool plane, but that does not come in the box, David. That would have been cool to have a plane like that in the box.
Well, keep wishing. You never know what may happen.
Ideas.
And so it's I love my little bomber games, and this is the one that started it all for me. And yeah, you can see we got a nice bomber formations here. You got cloud cover, you have veterancy, you have recruits. Here's some of the counters here. Here's some of the enemies some of the escorts here. There's some of the enemies. And this I thought was a kind of a cool touch here. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. You got actual photographs of different bomber squadrons.
Yeah, those are the actual real squadron. If they're named, they're the actual ones that were.
Yeah, so like you got the Memphis Belle people, you got the Miami Clipper. I think that was an awesome touch there to kind of get you in the mood to play the game. Let's see what else we got here. That's an interesting photo. Okay. And then you got your player map. Basically, you're starting in England and you're moving into different locations, experiencing whether or not there's enemies and problems, mechanical problems or whatever, and then moving on and trying to get to your location to bomb it. It's pretty cool. I really like this game a lot. And I thought this is another one of these games that nobody's ever talked about. And maybe I would show it off and see what you guys had to see about it.
You've done a playthrough, haven't you, of this? Sure.
I did do a playthrough. It's been a few years ago on the channel. And I really like this game. It's really done well. And again,
I don't think you can get it anymore, can you? Is it still available?
No, it's been out of print for a while.
It's been out of print for a
That's
few
a
years.
shame. That's a shame. So like,
It's a
and
shame.
looking at the chat, there's a couple of, thank you for your service. There's Alan. He was an air navigator on the C-130.
I love how Historic Wings talks about his CIA days as non-traditional operations.
Yeah, we know what you mean. Yeah, we know what you mean. So
he's a spook.
Yeah, but he's been in these big planes as well. So thank you. It's great that we've got actual people that bring this to
I'm
life.
going to be visited by NSA now that I said that.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, you'll. Where's Tony gone? No, he was found hanging under a bridge. What?
Let's see if I can get this to focus in so you can guys see
behind
the
it.
1-inch
pre-rounded counters, which are super nice, super thick.
Yeah.
David, do you know how much this game is going for on Noble Knight, just out of curiosity?
I have no idea.
$125.
Yeah, Nerd says it. Nerd, yeah.
Wow.
125. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't
And that's
mean to
the cheap
introduce it,
version.
you guys.
There's one for $135 as well. Jeez, man.
Mine's
Who would
for
actually
sale
pay
for
that?
$200.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I
Nerd,
mean,
if you bought that. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but who would pay that?
Somebody that wants it. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
if you want it, you're going to pay it.
They only sell it for 125 because there's people that buy it.
That
So
buy it.
Hey, Jester, you might be able to get 125 for it.
mine's for sale for 200. So if you're interested, let me know. You got my email address, idjesterlive@gmail.com. I'd be
Not a spook.
I to be honest, I probably wouldn't sell it anyways, even if somebody offered me 125.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool game. It's not worth $125. Let's be honest. Okay, it's just not. It's
game
not
is,
worth that much.
anyway.
But it's a cool game, and it's something I will never be able to get again unless I spend $125. I'm just not going to spend that much. It's just a fun, cool game to play and sit down. And maybe next year I'll sit down and play it again and have a great time, and I wouldn't have to spend $125.
Yeah,
So,
Thomas says he wasn't a spook.
I know. It's funny because I was doing a distant plane, and every time I brought up a card, I'd read the history, and he was on the live stream. He's like, "Oh, I worked with those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, I worked."
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
It was great. He was adding a lot of
But
context.
wouldn't that be what you expect a spook to say? I'm not a spook.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't want people with black shirt, black suits and ties and black SUVs pulling up.
Sunglasses. Got to have the sunglasses. Yeah.
That's
all I'm going to
show off today.
Bill's thing up. Bill Durant's comment.
Bill, where's Bill? Bill, where are you?
Way down.
There we go. Kudos to David. Many years I was hanging around in the Matrix forums, and he reached out by message and asked my opinion on various games and evaluated my customer satisfaction.
Thank you, Bill.
Yes, good. If you do that,
I do that. I call up X amount of customers every month just to see if they placed an order, if they had a problem, tech support issue. My guys hate it because they say, "Oh, you're just checking up on us." Yes, I am.
I'm a good boss. Yes.
But the thing is, getting a call from the owner of Lock and Load after you made an order, everything okay? So is it all right? Everything is fantastic. I believe you're the only one that does that, unless anybody tells me otherwise.
Ooh, Nerd Workshop. He's gonna not let me go with this Combat Commander, but what he fails to mention to everyone is we just played a game together of
you play
fighting formations, and I believe there was a winner and a loser in that, and I can't remember who won that. Maybe Nerd Workshop will let us know in the comments section.
Was he buying all the 10 activation orders? Is that what he was doing?
It's what I mean. You got to win the way you win. It's the way to win, man.
It's the end result.
They don't ask how, they ask if you won or not.
That's right.
That's right. All right, guys, we'll give about 5 or 10 minutes here, and then we'll open up to general questions for David. We don't like hammering our guests with question after question after question.
So you asked him one question, and he literally talked for 30 minutes.
I know. Sometimes you can't get our guests to shut up.
They're all like it.
We should probably announce the next couple weeks who's coming on the shows.
It's April is a great month for.
April is going to be a huge month for the War Room. First, of course, we had David, so that makes it an A+ right there.
Yeah.
Next week, you ended up getting someone.
Well, next week we've got Mark Herman.
Mark Herman. Now, what has he ever done? I
don't know, but he's going to tell us. I think he's designed a few games along the way, and he's been doing it, a little while. So we've got Mark on. Hopefully, everybody in the chat, we're going to have lots of questions. I know Nate wants to ask him some questions about what's the new one coming out, or the reprint. Always forget the name. Thunderbolt, is it? Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
And Nate is super excited. He's a big Mark Herman guy, and he loves those big strategic games. So we're really hoping Nate will make it next week.
Mark Herman, and then the following week after that, back on your channel.
Yes, back on my channel. It's taken us a long time. It's taken me about 12 emails, but I finally have secured Mr. Gene Billingsley from GMT is coming on in 2 weeks' time from today. So the owner,
He's like Howard Hughes, isn't he? You can't get him. He's hides himself away.
I had to. This is how bad it was. I had to contact Rachel Billingsley and befriend
That doesn't
her.
surprise me.
I send her gifts. I send her money. I send her lots of things. And I said,
Dave's like, wait a minute. Where's my money? Where's my gifts? I just came on.
is there any chance you could talk to Gene about our little show and maybe he'll come on sometime? And like about 2 months ago, I got an email from her and said, your $2,000 check cash. So I've talked to Gene and he's willing to come on the show. And so I contacted him and I emailed him 3 times, no reply. And I'm like, okay, he must have watched the show and saw what a jerk we were. And
I think Mike Berticelli has put the spokes in there.
Yeah, I think Mike might have said, don't do it or anything like that. Well, then I get an email message this week. Oh, we've been out of the country in Italy for 3 weeks.
That was weird.
And I would love to come on your show.
That was where
I can't wait to come on your show. And it'll be a great time. And you guys are just the best thing ever. And so I'm like, cool, awesome. So he kind of said something like that. It was something like that. I'm not sure. I might be putting a few words in his mouth. I don't know. But don't worry about that.
I mean, the way I got Mark Herman was when we had one game from one designer, our show a few weeks ago. Mark left a comment saying, because we didn't mention one Mark Herman game, did we? I don't think. And he said, I think we need to chat about your choices on the stream. And I went, oh, okay. Do you want to come on the show? He went, yeah, I'd love to. And then I said, oh, what about this week? He said, no, I'm in Rome. So I said, well, contact us when you're back. So a couple of weeks went past, and I thought, oh no, he's given us the blowout here. And he emailed me and said, still want me on? I said, yeah, come on the 12th. So yeah, so that should be fun. That should be fun.
A pretty good month where we have David Heath, Mark Herman, and Gene Billingsley coming on our little show. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, guys.
I'm gonna have to cut out of here, guys. So I'm gonna go. We're actually going. We've got a show. We're gonna go see Pretty Woman out at the theater, the live show. So I'm gonna have to cut out here. So David, it was great seeing you again, as usual. And gentlemen, I mean, Ruff and Jester.
Shut up.
Love you guys.
Yeah, love you.
Thanks for inviting me back on. And hopefully we can get you down again soon. So with that, everybody, talk to you later.
See you, matey.
See ya.
Take care. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. It was late notice, and we're just glad he was able to show up for a little bit of time. I mean, when he was on the show, he wasn't even here half the time. So, all right. So Historic Wings is he's got his man crush on Tony for some reason. Yeah. I don't know. All right, so let's get down to business here. Let's talk.
Oh, there was a question from Doug.
Oh, what's your question? I must have missed it.
No, I just saw it come up. It's a little ways down from the top.
All right.
Doug Sessoms.
Who was it by? Do you remember?
Sessoms.
I'm sorry?
Don't interrupt me when I'm lock and loading. Doug Sessoms.
Okay, Doug. Sorry, Doug. Where's Doug? Here we are. David, here's a question for you. What is the best lock and load game that is still in print that is good for solo play? That is an excellent question.
It's all of them.
Wow, very good. See how we have the best viewers in the world.
I do.
They ask the most sensible questions.
I will say, if you want pure solitaire, I don't know if we have any that's in print that I can think of. Most of our games are what we call solitaire assistance. And I would say your best bet would actually be probably Blood and Fury, which is still in print. Very, very lightly in print. There's not much left. And I would say it's Heroes of the Bitter Harvest. I like that because I like the cards.
Mm-hmm. The new solo system that was built into the core box, no expansion, no anything, that came out. What was that, 2022? Was that when that was released?
2 years ago, I think, right?
Yeah.
3 years, 2.5 years ago, 3 years
The one
ago.
with Devin on the front cover.
Yes.
Yes. Really good one.
This good-looking chap. Oh, the one I showed earlier. There we are. Look at that. Look at that. It's a face that only a mother could love. Bless him.
All right, David. So, how do I get my face on the front cover again? Just to refresh my memory.
We used to have a spot on our forum, which I've closed. But what we do is we open up somewhere where people can just upload their pictures. We tell them to make sure it's like a head chest shot and to put down, what country you want to be in. You have to tell us we have complete rights to use the picture, and we don't guarantee you'll get exactly the way you want where you want to be. But we try to do it that way. There's no cost for it. There's no charge for it. It's just we try to put our names on there.
Yeah, I mean, I did that once. Thomas kindly, Historic Wings kindly put me on a counter. And I think that put a lot of people off buying the game because once you see yourself on a counter, it was like, gee, do I look like that?
Yeah, rough's part of the game, and that is awesome. Question by iManatee, another good one. When will Close Quarters Combat Waterloo be available to purchase?
Close Quarters Battles Waterloo and Point Blank Winter Victory should be available, I'm going to say, before the end of April, probably between 2 and 3 weeks. And my reason for that is the game's already here. Okay, is because I don't want until everybody's game is either shipped or just about the end of shipping from the crowdfunding before we start something else.
I've got a quick question. You said the next World at War one would be the America Invaded one. Is that going to be the next? That is the next game. There's nothing coming out. Not a Napoleonic game coming out or anything. That's the next thing you're going to be doing.
I don't know the order because I have to rely on development, playtesting, artist, how it goes. So my goal is to get 3 or 4 games, print them at the same time, ship them over here, and then worry about the release schedule.
So you're going to get them done, get them over to you, and then put a game found up.
I don't know if I'm going to do game found again. I think with the tariffs, not to, whether you like them or don't like them, it doesn't really matter. It's making life a lot more difficult. I actually I had a warehouse in China and closed it. I may very well open it up another one now and ship everything from China to overseas and everywhere else. For the Brits and the EU people, it's 20, right now it's about 30% cheaper, give or take a bit. And so again, I'm going to have to fly that one.
Right. So you're going to be doing more than one game at one time. So remember you're saying we're going to do one, get it done, get it out, then do the next one, get it done.
Yeah, we're not going to do that anymore because we found as a company, it's much easier to keep. It's kind of like cooking. You don't cook the whole meal and then start dessert. You kind of cook all the pieces or all the different appetizers and move along with it. And we find that worked pretty well as far as internally goes. It didn't work well on other aspects, but that's a different story.
Wow, that's great.
So,
great news.
Let's talk about Close Quarters Battle Waterloo, which we haven't really talked about much. This is a tactical level Napoleonic game, which is super interesting for me
and unusual.
So, what kind of what can we expect with it? I mean, kind of sell it to me. It sounds interesting, and I love the concept. And I looked at the counters, and I did an unboxing yesterday, but I don't know about the system. So talk to me.
Devin is the developer on that. It was done. I forget a guy's name is Andrew who designed that. He not only designed the game, but he also designed all the artwork, the maps.
Andrew Glenn,
yeah, he got that whole game together with us much faster than the average design. But again, he did everything.
And what I really liked is the fact that you have your counters, which are square. Then you have your admin counters, which are round. And then you have your terrain pieces, which are hexagon. And it makes everything stand out perfectly. When you're looking at the map, you can see, oh, this guy's on a terrain piece over here.
Right.
But they did that with World at War. The counters are now
Our
round.
biggest thing going forward with is going to be doing that. All admins around, and the reason is you can look at something, and how much time do you spend looking back at the same stack 20 times because you can't remember what was in there. Hopefully that'll cut it down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be part of a series of games. Is that true?
We hope it to be. We want to see how well it's liked and how.
Okay.
Well it's I mean, Andrew can definitely. I definitely would work with Andrew again. Relatively easy to work with. Work with us nicely. I think he'll like the end product. The quality of the product, I think, is great. The canvas map.
This box weighs a ton. I don't know how you got everything in here, to be honest.
Oh, let you know, OG's in the house. He's in the house.
Oh, we got to stop talking good about him, man.
No, there you go. Now, Devin can explain more about the game, but as far as it goes, it's basically the most important part of the Waterloo. I guess they call it the farmhouse area.
Yeah.
Gugamont, God for help me, I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, and it even goes down to whether or not the main gate is open or closed. It's a different type of system, so we'll see how it's like.
Yeah, it looks very interesting. I mean, I just did an unboxing, but I was going through, and it's like I learned pretty much how the game plays by just looking at the counters and looking at the player aids. And I mean, sure, I mean, there's probably more to it than that, but I got the general gist of what's going on there. You're gonna take your units, you're gonna add all your attack values together. You're gonna roll a D10. You're gonna add that to your D10. Then you're gonna find out, kind of cross-reference a chart to find out how much damage you did. Doesn't seem super complex. What's the complexity rating? 6. That's about what I would say. Yeah.
There's no solitaire for that, though. I mean, just so you know, there's no cards or any solitaire system. We couldn't get one in there that we felt comfortable with.
Okay, so I mean, you're gonna have to play two-sided or play with
fine.
somebody. Yeah.
Robert O's got a question.
Robert O, let's see what Robert has to say. Blackwell made any progress in starting his own printing company here in the States?
Blackwell and I have been discussing different things about it. I'm not going to speak for Blackwell. I will go as far as to say that he is very much moving forward as far as that goes. I don't have a timeline when he's going to open, if he's going to open or not.
Yeah.
So,
look, you've got somebody coming across here from GMT. Look.
Yep, Mike is very interested in the Waterloo and might become his first lock and load game.
All right. Well, thank you,
I think the fact that Tactical and Napoleonics have never crossed paths, as far as I know, before, and it's going to be a very interesting thing to see how combat plays out in the Napoleonic eras. And if you want to, I've always said, like, why isn't there I love Tactical. You know that. Like, lock and load Tactical.
We all like Tactical.
It's my thing, right? So, I mean, I love Tactical. And I've always thought, well, we could take lock and load Tactical and put it in World War I, David. I'm still talking about that. And I'm not gonna forget lock and load Tactical in fantasy, David. You were waiting for it. I know you were waiting for it.
No, I thought I was going to get out of that one. Now you asked it.
Yeah.
Get him to design it then.
I said that last week.
He's told me that like 6 times. Just do it. Send it to me. That's a lot of work, man.
Anyway, Magnus is here from Sweden. Hello, Magnus.
Work on games. I can't do both. That's crazy. Look at this. Cardboard Commander is looking at Waterloo to be his first lock and load game as well. Sweden is in the house.
Yeah, I told you that. Yeah,
Sweden. Magnus from Sweden. So that is Close Quarter Battle Waterloo.
And what are the units? Are they not individuals? Are they? What are they?
They're squads, right?
They're like squaddies.
You said about squad size, and you can break them down and build them up too.
Yeah, it is very awkward, very difficult to make a pure tactical Napoleonic game. I think that it's the same with American Civil War games as well. Even though they're called tactical, it's still not squaddy thingies.
Right.
Tactical combat between dragon riders and the far desert, David. That's what I'm talking about right there, man.
Get on it.
The guys you want to harass, who's constantly trying to get me to do fantasy games, is Sean Drillinger. He wants me to do Lord of the Rings.
I sent you this. I sent you a screenshot. If you look at the all-time,
hold on. I think my son's come back. Hold on, I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, on Board Game Geek, like the top 20, 15 are fantasy. People love fantasy.
It is. I mean, we did the very first game we released when I bought the company was War something or another. I can't remember the name of the game. But it's got to hit all the right marks, and I just haven't found it.
No, you just poo-poo it. Wait until you see the check that would come in. It would be huge. Then you won't poo-poo it anymore. Look at that. The popularity of Burning Banners fantasy is not a bad idea.
No, that's true.
So Camp Sawyer is very interested. He stopped by for my unboxing, and he has a question. Are the units company level of semi-company or semi-company?
Devin will have to answer that one. I think
there he did. Devin did answer it. One step of a company of troops can build them up into a battalion. There you go. Great. If you guys have any thoughts or questions for David about certain things, I think, we'll open it up for anyone out there. Digital for the younger generation. I don't know if are you going to have digital for this at all? Do you know?
Not in the plans right now. I'm saying we won't, but I don't have anybody set up for that.
So for me personally, are there going to be included tabletop simulator modules for any of these?
I believe, I know there's one, I think, for Winter Victory. And I'm pretty sure there's one for Waterloo, but it'll probably be, it'll be TTS, and then more than likely we'll do Vassal. But again, that's more Devin's privé. Mike Seeley is the guy who does all of our Vassal modules.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. Everything okay, Rob?
Yeah, he's home safe. He just thought it was getting a bit leery at the party, and he thought, let's go. So, good boy. Good boy.
What is the favorite preferred drink of Lock and Load? Everyone drink.
Preferred drink. I'm not really much of a drinker, unless you want to count Diet Pepsi. But if I do like a smooth bourbon.
A smooth
I don't have a brandy or anything else like that.
Yeah, I did that. I tried that once when we were live drinking Buffalo Trace, and yeah.
But you don't do a lot of drinking like that.
No, I'm not used to it. That sort of stuff. My wine, a couple of glasses of wine.
So Devin says that they've done a TTS for Winter Victory and for Close Quarter Battle already, and they will be released when the game is out. Great. All right. And again, if you're just joining us, somewhere towards the end of April, 2 or 3 weeks from now, both of these games should be available to purchase. Somewhere around there, we're not giving an exact date yet, but check out the Lock and Load Publishing website. They might update you with an exact date when it comes, but before the end of April. They won't. Okay, well they won't.
But the best thing to do is keep on the Facebook page, because David and Devin, anything comes up, they'll post on there as well. So Facebook page, yeah.
Oh, not to interrupt the Lock and Load day, but they released an amazing new TTS module for Wolfpack. Oh, that's nice to know. Great.
I have to tell you, I really, really like that Wolfpack game.
It's a great game.
It's an amazing game.
I play with Mike. It'll sneak every time.
We talk at the end of the year, what game did we not make that we wish we did? And that one was the one we picked for.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you, David, besides your Lock and Load games that you have to test and play and everything, has you played anything recently that you really liked? Well, you just answered that. So
what was the other game we played recently? I mean, normally when I play games, I have to tell you, the two games I really have enjoyed, and I actually crowdfunded it, was the new Star Trek Ascendancy, I think it's called.
Yeah, I was looking at that, but it's not solo.
I have to tell you, I have the original game with all the add-ons, and it's just a great game. I love playing Star Wars Rebellion. I love that. I'm a big Star Wars fanatic. And Dark Tower. Have you guys ever discussed that in your show?
Oh yeah, no,
Is
well
that the
we
book?
haven't, but I know
Is that
about
from the
Dark
book
Tower.
by is it the same guy? You know, the horror.
It was
writer?
original 80s game, maybe late 70s. It was a tower digital game. It was a board game, but you had a little beeps and bops, and someone redid it on, and it plays with an app and in this tower. The atmosphere for that game is phenomenal, and I don't like fantasy games, so for me to say that is amazing.
Right, it's not what I was thinking of.
Yep. So Dark Tower was released in 1981, and then re-released in 2022.
Yeah, that is great. That is an excellent game. And anybody,
Yeah, it's got the tower in the center of the board, which is very cool. Oh, that's not the tower. Let's see if I can find a tower here. There's the tower. They actually drop dice and stuff into the tower.
Yeah, and it spits out different things. It's a nice, great game. And the other game I've played in the last, let's say, year and a half has been Battlestar Galactica.
Which one?
Well, this one, the newest game, plus they have 3 modules for it. Super expensive game. You think Winging a Prayer is expensive? They're like $300 to $400 a piece, those games. But excellent games. I mean, wow, that was another excellent game.
Yes. That was a good one back in the day for sure. Mike is saying thank you for your comments about
Mike,
being there.
Excellent game. You deserve it. You really did an incredible game.
We'll never hear Ruff. We're never going to.
I know that's now you said never in the last of it now. Oh God.
You can't say that on his show. His head is this big already. Oh my God.
Oh, Christopher is asking an interesting question from a sort of publishing point of view.
What is the ratio of ideas and games that get published and not make?
Yeah, I thought that'd make you laugh.
I will say, if it's something that we're doing in house, it probably gets it 80%. I'm going to say 60% of the time, and it also depends if it's an established game. So if it's a World at War, Lock and Load Tactical, you have a base game. If it's a brand new design, man, I have to tell you again. There's only a couple of us, so we can't do it all. If it's someone from the outside, I bet you it's less than 20%.
Yeah, I would guess that's about right.
Yeah.
Because you can't. I mean, first of all, you can't print every game that comes across. You have to design them all.
Unless you're a certain company.
Develop them all. You have to test them all. You have to figure out if there's a market for it. I mean. You might have the greatest game in the world, but if nobody buys it, who cares, right?
Yeah. You have to. We sit down and we'll play it. I usually force Devin to play it first. I'm not going to lie. And actually, Devin is the one who brought Waterloo to my attention. I believe it was him. And actually, I think Jeff Newell brought First Victories. And it was funny because we were talking about, we've never released a Napoleonic game. We've never released.
No, you haven't. No.
Yeah, and we got 2 within 6 months. Just.
Yeah, no, cool.
Yeah, for sure. What
is
else
that tariff thing going to affect extra squeak? He says is because he comes from my side of the pond. Is it going to be the tariff thing? The tariff.
It really depends. Let's pretend nothing changes besides maybe tariffs go up. There's an article, or I shouldn't say it's an article. I wrote up a thing to answer people about that because I've been asked that a lot. Tariffs are not going to cause, if it's 50, I think it's 50 to 55% is the tariff now from China. That does not mean the game's going to go up 50 to 55%. The game will go up probably no less than 10%, probably no more than 25%. It all depends on what you're making. Okay, if you ship the game from China to the EU and the UK, the tariffs right now are very reasonable, if you want to use that term with the word tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't see a big deal. The biggest problem we had with the last bunch of games was Americans, British, Europeans, you don't have a lot of recourse when someone doesn't do what they're supposed to. I mean, I literally had to switch printers, and people say, oh, you gave wrong dates and you gave wrong this, information that was given to us. I mean, How dumb do you have to be to say, yeah, it's going to take 3 weeks and it's 4 months? I might as well just say 5 months and be safe. I'm early then. But the problem with that is, really quick example, when we spiral bound the books, the new printer, they honestly told me 2 weeks. So that's the time I gave. It took them 8 weeks. I understand why it took them longer. And there was a lot of, manual labor to get that done. But that's part of the problem you have. You can't really sue a Chinese company, and a lot of the printing companies, I'm not going to say all, are subsidized by the Chinese government. Americans are not their best friends. And, I know Elon and I, we're like this, Elon and I, but I can't get him back in on the games. So, you don't have the money and the resources to fight them. So, that's why I really think I'm just going to build all the games, print them all, and then worry about shipping them, because I think in that case, if something goes wrong, I'm not disappointing anybody. I'm not getting hate mail, etc.
Good.
Right.
I tell you what, that amazed me when I opened up the GMT Fields of Fire Deluxe Edition, is that they've taken a leaf out of your book, David, that their rule book is now spiral bound.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean when I say, and again, I got nothing against Toyota. I wanted to be the Lamborghini of it, because Toyota's a great car. Actually, I believe my son owns one. But you can't, when you compare it to a Lamborghini, if you're into cars, no, that is a car's car. There's no argument about it. That's why I want everything spiral bound. That's why I don't want to have any more add-ons for games. Everything's in a box.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good that, even because it's a 90-odd page rule book for Field of Fire, they've gone, let's put, and it's great. And I can see why you do it. And it's great that you do it. Everything just opens and lays flat on the table. Brilliant. And Mike has put up another lock and load. He's just said lock and load. Cheers, Mike.
Oh, geez. Oh, my God. Lock and load. There we go.
Good grief. I think Coy's on the floor. He's been drinking.
Yeah. He's doing shots, so he's so we're gonna wrap things up, ladies and gentlemen, and we want to tell you how much we appreciate everyone coming out today. Ralph, what did they do? I think there's a button or something.
They've got to push it, please, if you haven't done so already. This poor old sod needs all the help he can get. If you could smash the like button, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Smash it hard, yes. Really looking forward to getting these games to the table, and I'm really excited about trying both of these. I'm a big Point Blank guy. I think this is a hidden gem of a game. Now, when this is coming, you're getting some of the original game as well, right? No.
That's why it's the last expansion. We sold out of Point Blank. I will say this. I don't know how many. Could be 20. It could be 50. I'm going to call dinged or damaged boxes. They're not you destroyed anything else, but all the pieces are in the game. We're going to sell that off. But we did not reprint the game. We only printed 500 copies of the Winter Victory. And I think about 220 are accounted for by stores and stuff.
Another designer in the chat, Eves. Designer.
Eves, he's got a big game. Eves, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. It's good to see you. And Stuka Joe's in the house as well.
Okay.
So next week, Ruff, what do we got going on the channel? Is your computer going to handle it?
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping to do the Fields of Fire unboxing, get that edited. It's all filmed. I just got to edit the bloody thing, and it's I have to do it in little stages. A bit more Skies Above Britain. We're going to get it done. It's going to be done. As he said, I shall return, and I've got to do the World at War, Blood and Fury unboxing. I want to get that open. I want to look at it myself. I'd like to do unboxings because people like them, also because it gives me a chance to have a proper look inside the box and look at the count, look at the rules and all that sort of thing. So that's hopefully going to be going. And maybe a bit of fighting formations on Friday with Tony again.
Yeah, that was... you just enjoy getting killed and destroyed.
It was a little bit one-sided, so we'll see. But it's teaching me the game. That's the thing. I'm doing things, bit of a Leroy Jenkins sort of thing going on. But it's teaching me the game. You know, I'm not too concerned about winning or losing. Next time, you watch out, Tone.
Hey, congratulations.
Hey, yeah.
Birthday with his wife 50 years ago today.
Lock
There
and
you go.
load.
Yeah, they are. They're a good one there.
Yeah, Coy's my type of chap.
Well, we want to thank everyone for coming out today and enjoying your time. And David, thanks so much for your time and efforts today to be with us and share your knowledge and answer questions.
Oh, wait, I didn't share any knowledge. No.
Yeah, you kind of did. You gave us some what's coming down the road for Lock and Load Tactical, and that's the most important thing.
It's rumors and hearsay.
Damn you.
Rumors and hearsay.
Oh, it's rumors and hearsay. That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, I just want to
It
thank you
can
guys
always
for having me.
change down the line too, right? Yes, I know.
I want to thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate it. And for everybody who's stuck at Lock and Load and helped us get over the hump with these 3 releases, thank you very much, guys.
Jeez, hold on, running out. Look.
Jeez, David, you got to stop saying the name over and over and over again. Oh my God. So next week, Ruff, we got somebody coming on, some dude.
Yeah, some chap called Mark Herman. So I hope there's going to be lots of people in the chat asking Mark a lot of questions. I've got a few questions, you know, maybe that I need to know because I'm not you know, as knowledgeable as some YouTubers. So I'm going to ask him questions. He'll probably go, but I've got to know. So you know, get our questions ready. Get your questions ready for next week.
Get your questions ready for Mark Herman
I
next
will
week.
give you a little quick Mark Herman story. When I was in high school, I decided I wanted to make war games, and there's obviously no colleges for this. So I called up Victory Games Manhattan. I was living in Staten Island, which is a suburb, and got hold of Mark Herman. You know, I basically wailed and begged him. I said, I'll mop the floor. I just want to learn what you guys are doing. And I have to give the guy, to this day, him and I still chat. He let us in. And the very first thing we did together, it's really him, was he took me to the New York Library and he made the Pacific War map. He found an equal area map in there and drew it all up. And great guy. That's all I have to say.
I shall mention that next week.
Yeah,
See if he remembers it.
we got a story now. Yeah. Awesome. Good to share that. I appreciate it. So everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. We do appreciate it.
Yeah,
and,
thanks everyone.
We'll see you next week. It's going to be over on Ruff's channel, so look for that.
Yep.
And he'll post a nice screenshot and that. And don't forget, in 2 weeks, we'll be back on my channel. We're going to have Gene Billingsley, the owner of GMT, on. And we don't drink for the GMT, so they're just not as important, I guess. I don't know. There's
not as important as Lock and Load. I'm just going to finish.
Here we go. All right, everyone. See you next week.
Cheers.